minutes. Hello, ObEd. It's been what, months? How long has it been since I saw you? Man, like a year. Because I saw you last Christmas. No, I didn't see you Christmas time though. I saw you the Christmas before. Because this Christmas you were able to.
Maybe Christmas time you were busy and things.
I think I saw you once. Because my schedule was extremely tight, but yeah. So right now, yeah.
See, like
Right now, you're doing big boy things, so it's like you don't have time for some of
we
the children.
why children? Some of
You don't have time for the children, but that's fine. I mean, it's nothing personal, and I understand you're building your empire, and as long as since I have 10%, I can't be upset. Do you understand?
10%.
Since I have 10%, I can't even be upset.
Where do you go and take that 10% from?
It's just it's the right thing to do, you know.
Yeah,
Considering what we've been through, as considering what we've been through, I just think 10% is right. And you want to give me more? Why don't you give me more? Then I'll take it all.
Hey, Oliver Twist.
So I proposed and you didn't necessarily say anything. So I'm like, okay, maybe let me just push for like 11.95.
11.95.
I added decimals to it.
How have you been though? I know it's been a while.
I've been good, you know, like, you know, the life, it's just work. And I try as much as possible to be able to do the other things that I like doing, like my podcasting and my blogging and all the other stuff. But combining that with work has been extremely difficult. So it's very easy to like forget people and forget things because it's like you've got like a tunnel vision right now. Like there's so many things that you're focusing on, and it's very easy to forget the people around you. But I have just like purpose to message people. So if you come to mind in that particular moment, I would message you, and I don't necessarily wait for a reply. Because if I don't do that, I would never message you. Then I realize that there'll be a long time and I won't necessarily speak to other people. So the moment, I'm sure you realize that I'll message you and you reply, and I'll reply like 2 weeks later because I wasn't necessarily waiting for a reply in that particular instance. But yeah. So we are welcome to my podcast, which is interesting. I don't know if you've listened to any of my podcast, but I'm just assuming that you've listened to it. But this is have you listened to it?
I read your blogs and all that.
Oh, you do? Did you read the blog about my dad?
Yeah. Oh, I think that was one of the funniest actually.
Are you serious? But
what about your mom dancing for Papa? I read your blogs. I do follow them. When you post them on your story, that's when I get a chance to click and read. And sometimes I'm just sitting down trying to unwind after work or something. So it's a great.
And how are things on that side?
This side of the world, things aren't bad. Getting out of winter, COVID is still a thing, so man. But
it's interesting when Canadians say we're going out of winter because does the cold ever stop in Canada? I don't understand.
No, we see like when it comes to cold, British people cold is different. Like I think you guys when it's like 3 degrees, you're like, oh my god, it's so cold. Here 3. Yeah,
it's basic.
Yeah.
I use it because we're supposed to be in spring, but like I mean, I was talking to my friend yesterday. It's like I don't even know if you're in spring because it's like it's raining and it's freezing. Like the weather here is just so unpredictable. It's so sad. Like I could literally like maybe go to my car like and pick something from my car and the sun is like blazing. And I just come and maybe pick my keys and go out and it's raining. Like it's so unpredictable. The weather is just I don't want to say weather is rubbish, but yes, it's like rubbish weather on the side. So because I think like today's rained like 3 times already and the sun has come out like twice already. So,
really?
Honestly, like the sun is shining right now. And I could be talking to you like now, really lift my head and it's raining. Like it's just very unpredictable. So I think in my boots I have like an umbrella, I've got a jacket in my boots, and I've got like you need to have like everything just in case. Yeah, just you need to be ready for whatever the weather you get once I get out of my car. So but yeah, you're welcome to the podcast. And the reason why I wanted to interview you was I think I don't know, I won't say I think, but like in the last couple of months, especially with like COVID and the lockdown and stuff, there are quite a number of people that I have encountered who are just angry people. Together, they seem to, and honestly, like they seem to just be angry. And recently, I had like a job interview. I'm trying to change jobs, and I always use you as my example. They say, "Oh, is there anybody you've ever impacted?" I'm like, "Oh yes, there's a guy called ObEd." Like every time, you're like my success story, right? And then one time I was sitting down and I was like, honestly, yeah, I don't even know how we went about it. And I feel like maybe my perspective on what we're about to talk about might be different from how you perceive things. And so I wanted us to like look at my perspective and juxtapose it with how you perceive things. So the topic, so what we will be talking about today is anger management. Okay. And you haven't gone through it and where you are. Like sometimes I look at the way you're speaking and your demeanor, which is very calm, and I'm like, wow, there's a God. I'm like, there's a God. Anyways, but to begin, would you like to like introduce yourself? Give us like a brief intro. Because honestly, I don't even know where you are asking what you're doing for. So I'm like also ready to know what's going on with you right now. But would you like to give us like a brief intro?
Oh yeah, for sure. Like my name is ObEd Asante. Born, bred, and raised in Ghana, Accra.
The only Asante here I know. Continue.
There's one right now. They've demoted me to Nana. So.
Oh right.
They've demoted me, but I'll
I might have to take that statement back, considering the fact that there's some guy who has been asked to come and apologize to the Asante Hene for bashing the throne. So I'll just take that back and be like, we have an Asante Hene, and this is the potential. He's in spirits by Asante. Let me just be careful. I know how they do that. Yeah, social media can just yeah. So we have an Asante Hene. Yeah.
Can throw things out of gear. Definitely, the internet never forgets. So
yeah.
So that's me so far. I'm in my final semester in uni in Canada at the moment, majoring in economics and a minor in finance. It's funny I'm doing finance because I hate that stuff.
I remember that conversation, but yeah.
But I don't know. I think the numbers kind of make sense to me. So I was like, oh, why not? Probably just add and see what the future holds with that. But that is my educational background. Right now, I'm working with a railway company here called MB7. So it's a short line railway. I'm doing operations for them. So trying to build efficiency along the railway lines, trying to decrease bottlenecks, delays, increase our customer satisfaction and all that. And I like it. It's very challenging. And with operations, today things could be going smoothly. Then the next day, you're fighting all sort of things. Like we had an example on Friday, which was nuts. But yeah, that is my kind of work background with that. I'm one of 6. I have 5 other siblings, 4 sisters, and a brother who I'm looking to trade. So if you have anyone, just send me that.
Wow. Wow.
I'm pretty sure if Jesse hears this, you lose this.
I was thinking like if Jesse hears this, he's gonna go like, are we trading you? Or are you trading me? I'm sure he will be like, wow. Yeah, that's like a brief background for you. Do you remember? Do you remember our first encounter? Do you remember the first time you encountered me? Do you have a brief? I think I do have a collection of it, but I don't know if it's the same thing that you have.
I don't know. I know we met through church.
Yes.
That's how we met, but the first day in particular, that is going to be pretty difficult to remember.
Difficult for you. I do. So the first time I met ObEd was, so I was teaching Sunday school, right? And you were in my Sunday school class. And that particular Sunday was when the you guys had just moved from like, the junior class to like the teen class, right? And I think we had like a game something, and you got so upset. You got so upset with the results, and you just blew up. And I literally asked you to walk out of my class. Do you remember that?
Oh, that I never forget
Yes.
that day. No.
Obed was the only, like the first and last child that I walked, because how can you walk somebody out of Sunday school class? But literally,
That makes sense.
no, but I was so mad because like he was challenging the results, and at some point he just got so angry, and you became so disruptive. I felt like, you know how you have to like sacrifice one sheep to
Come
keep
on.
to keep all the sheep in check. I'm like, okay, let me just allow this guy to. So I asked you to like walk out of my class, and you gladly just walked out. And I was like, this guy. I'm like, oh my gosh, I have a lot to deal with, right?
Yeah.
And I think Maud, your sister, came in. She spoke to me. She's like, oh my gosh, your brother has a temper, and you need to be patient with him. And I'm like, he's not coming back into my class if he doesn't apologize. And you were like, you're not going to apologize. So I think for like 2 Sundays, you come and you gladly just sit outside.
I remember those
Do you
days.
remember those days? And I was like, I still don't even understand how you came back into the class. Do you know how you came back? No. Did you ever apologize? I don't think so.
No, actually, thinking about it, no, I actually didn't apologize. It was a big thing at home too, because my mom got to hear about it, and
Seriously.
oh yeah, my mom got to hear about it, and my mom was also extremely concerned with my temper because
Yeah.
she she felt like it wasn't normal,
Mm.
and my dad also had a temper, but it's funny because he also switched up overnight. Like
Really?
right now, it's crazy because right now the things that you would do to get my dad angry, like back in the day, the things that you do to get my dad angry, like right now, you just look at you, shake his head, and walk away. So my mom believed that there was kind of a link between my dad. I don't know if it was a spiritual thing she believed in or something, but she was very convinced there was kind of a link there. So she was very concerned. Uh, it was tough for me back home as well. So yeah,
I
those
mean, I
things
mean,
I remember.
I mean, to be fair, Maud spoke to me about it. I think your mom and I had a conversation about it, and she let me know how concerned she was. And I think that was a breaking point for me because after speaking to your mom, after speaking to your Maud, after speaking to Obed, Jesse as well, and seeing how the temper, how it affected them, it sort of like put like a burden on me. And then I don't know if I ever told you as well, but I kind of saw myself in you because I also had a temper problem. I don't know if I ever told you, but growing up, I also had like a temper problem, and I saw how it affected my relationships as well. And I think after speaking to them, I just allowed you to come back into the class without an apology because it wasn't. I realized at that particular point that it wasn't like a battle of the survival of the fittest. Like it was, I was not necessarily proving the point by
Yeah,
not necessarily allowing you to join the class. So I think I allowed you to join the class again. But what you said that got to me was, I am my father's son. So so for you, the justification for the anger was the fact that it showed that you were your father's child. And I remember I kept telling you that is not how it should be, because if you
yeah,
see how his temper issues affected you, why would you want that same thing for other people? So I think in that moment we started talking about the anger thing and started dealing with it. I don't know how we started dealing with it. Do you have an idea? I don't know how we started dealing with it, but do you have a recollection of how we went about it?
if I can recall, how we came back after the.
I have no recollection. I'm just guessing that I allowed you back into the class. No, I think Maud came and apologized on your behalf. That's what it
Yeah,
was.
I remember. I remember she
Maud
told,
came and apologized. Yes.
but I think for some reason after you allowed me back into the class, we became very close.
Mm.
Like I remember you used to like swimming. I used to like swimming as well.
And working out as well.
Working out as well. So I don't know. Strange reason you'd be going to swim and you'd give me a call. Oh, are you available at this time? Do you want to go swim? I'm like, yeah, for sure. I want to go swim. Do you want to go work out? I remember you got me a trial at this gym. Go tried to get me signed up and whatnot. And I believe, like sometimes I actually sit down to reminisce on these kind of uh, past issues. And I think once we started doing that, we actually got talking.
Mm.
And I think that's where we actually got to understand things from each other's perspective.
Mm.
So, what triggered me, how it affected my relationships. Because I remember you used to ask a lot of questions, like whilst we were working out, whilst we were swimming. And because it was such a fun time, it was very easy for me to open up to
Yeah.
you. I had no guards or barriers up because we're just having fun. But I feel like if you had gone about it in a different way, just to say, come to my place, let's sit down and talk, it would have ended the way we were seeing it today. I'm very confident it wouldn't have panned out this well for me.
I think that maybe because I'd done like youth ministry for a long time,
Yeah.
and I always use myself as an example. Like even when I look at my siblings, we're so different, and my mom like treated us differently. Do you get what I'm saying? And so with that experience, I was able to understand that every child is different, and to reach. But with you, I tried different things. I tried sitting down talking with you. That didn't work. There were so many things I tried, but I think the fact that I refused to give up on you was a reason why we were able to find a breakthrough. I understood that having common interests would always be one of the ways to reach people. So I realized what our common interests were. And it wasn't necessarily, I'm taking you swimming because I want to have a conversation with you. We'll just go randomly swimming and I'll just ask these random questions. And out of it, will lead to like a follow-up question. By the time you realize we're talking about the anger issues, and that was not even what the intention was. And I think that for me, the fact that you had somebody who was listening more than talking was a reason why you opened up so much, because I wasn't telling you what I thought. I wasn't giving my opinions. I wasn't saying anything. I was just listening to you. Then I would go back and come back with something else, but that was not necessarily directly linked to the anger thing. But that's how we were dealing with it. I said honestly, I also sit back and I think about it, and I'm like, how did we like how did I want to say how did I do it, or say how did we do it, because it was a collective effort. And the reason why I wanted us to have this conversation was because there's so many people out there that this can help. And then there's so many people out there who are dealing with people with anger issues and they're just tired of it. But I would say keep trying different things, and eventually the person would open up. Do you think it was because I was just listening to you, that's why you opened up so much? Or
Oh, I think that was a large chunk of it.
mm,
Because if I can remember clearly, I remember me talking to you, and we communicate in very special ways. Like many people think communication is my words coming out of my mouth,
mm,
words coming out of your mouth. But communication is much more than that. It's your body language, it's your facial expressions, it's the way you squint, your eyes or close. It's a lot of things. And I felt like when I was speaking to you, I felt so comfortable because I felt like I wasn't judged.
mm,
Like I
mm,
wasn't judged
mm,
at all. I felt like this was really somebody who really cared about me wasn't really here to judge me based on who I was. Because if I felt that way, I can 100% tell you that we probably would have gone swimming again.
You would have
Or,
put up a wall. Yeah.
or having been to your place more, like it wouldn't have happened. So I just felt at ease speaking to you that way. And because you allowed me to speak what was on my mind without having the feeling of being just looking at your body posture, like your body language, I didn't get that feel of I'm being judged by. I got a feel of I'm being heard. So I think that played a very vital role in that journey to actually get to this point right now.
What you just said confirms a theory that I've known and practiced, but I haven't necessarily gotten anybody to confirm, which is that young people, they don't do what you tell them, they do what you're doing. They basically copy what you're doing. So what you tell them is not what they're interested in, it's what you're showing them. So what you just said is interesting. My body posture and what I showed you was the reason why you opened up a bit more. And I think that also just giving you another perspective from what you knew. I gave you the end results of your actions. I gave you an understanding and clarity as into into the effects of what your actions were doing. So I will tell you, so what you just did, if it was me, this is how I would feel. This is how other people are feeling. I was basically opening up your mindset. Like take your mind out of the box that you were in and getting you to understand that it's bigger than you actually see. And to let you understand that it is possible to overcome this. And the fact that, and I would always use myself as an example, the fact that I overcome my anger issues means that you can. We just have to try different things. I remember we talked about triggers, things that trigger the anger, what to do. I might told you like we walk away and come back when we are more cool-headed and deal with the issue. And the fact that I allowed you to speak your mind, regardless of how difficult it was to hear. Because sometimes, yeah, honestly though, like sometimes I'm like, oh my god, okay, that was a bit like, yeah, like I want to box this guy, but okay, let me just let me control my emotions because just allow him to listen. It's like I see anger like a boiling pot. You know, when a pot is hot, the steam that comes out. If you just like block that, prevent the steam from coming out, the pot will explode. So let all the steam come out. When you have cooled down, then we can have a conversation. When do you think you had that turnaround? Like, was there? Do you remember the particular day that you felt like I must turn things around? Do you have a recollection of a day or time when you felt like I must do things differently?
I wouldn't say that it was a time or a particular date. It was more like a timeline, like a series of events that really drew me a bit conscious
Mm.
to the kind of effect my anger was having on my relationships with people, friends, family, and whatnot. Like, I remember back in high school, if some of my friends had issues with me, like I'd done something, they wouldn't tell me. Guess what they'll do?
I wouldn't tell you.
They wouldn't tell me. They'll go tell Jesse to
Mm.
come talk to me. But these are people that I spoke to on a daily basis. We hang out and whatnot. And I realized that, you know what, my relationship with these guys wasn't the same. Like, I saw that people were trying to pull themselves away from me because of like my explosive nature and whatnot. And one time, Jesse bluntly told me, he was like, listen, like, you really have to fix yourself. And you knowing me, I almost punched him. He
I
was like,
wouldn't have been surprised if Jesse came to church with a black eye. I would have been open to that, right?
listen, like, your friends, he bluntly told me, and he was like, you know, there's something very wrong when your friends cannot openly communicate with you about you. There is something very wrong with that. So think that hit me very hard. That, and you know, Jesse doesn't talk much. He's a very, so he just said that, left, and I was like, you know what, I probably need to work at this. He probably has a point here. And other things that happened as well, like I remember playing soccer with, seeing my classmate, and he he stepped on my foot, and I borrowed the soccer boots from a friend, so they were very tight. They weren't mine. So you can imagine how when someone steps on your toes with that, the feeling, and he didn't even stop to apologize. So I remember I chased him down and used my elbow on his jaw or something. I think, yeah, he had to go see the dentist after that or something. His mom brought my mom a dentist bill, and I remember that night my mom actually broke down. Like, she started crying. I expected her to lose her cool. My mom doesn't lose her cool. Like, she's very, very calm, but like she really started crying. And at that point she felt like there was nothing to be done. Like, it looks like this is who he's going to be the rest of his life. And me seeing my mom cry because of what I did, I was like, you know what, I really, really need to do something about this. Because it's I sat down to think about that action. I was like, this doesn't even make sense. Who does this? Like, and all my friends on the pitch just they just literally drew themselves away from me. Like, they didn't know me anymore. Like, we're done with this guy. So I think it was within that timeline I was like, you know what? I really think something needs to be done about this temper.
Was that before or after we started working on your anger issues?
Oh no, that was after. Like, that was
Within the process of,
within the process, I would say.
because I think prior to that you probably would have said, that's who I am, kind of thing. Like, I'm my father's son. I remember you always kept saying, I'm my father's son, kind of thing. And but that's what I don't think the people around you, I believe, have just come to accept that this is just how ObEd is. Because every time there's an issue, they're like, that's how ObEd is. But I was like, no, this is not okay. Like, this cannot be his story. Like, there's so many people who have dealt with this and have overcome it, and he can too. He just needs to be properly equipped to be able to deal with them. And I think that for me, that was when I was like, no, I'm not going to be like everybody else and just accept that this is who you are. I believe that you can do better, and I am willing to do everything that I can to get you there. With that said, were there any other thing apart from people pulling away from you and stuff like that? Were there any other signs that brought your attention to your anger problem? Your mom crying, your friends pulling away from you, your friends not being able to necessarily tell you your peace of mind or be honest with you. Were there any other signs that you would, that looking back on your the story now, you would say were red flags for you?
I'll say those were the major ones. Those
The
are
major ones.
the ones that pulled my attention. Like, the ones that caught my attention, I should say, that, you know what, I need a major overhaul, and when it comes to behavior and how I react to certain things. But I think also little nitty gritty stuff, looking back now, like, honestly, and they're hilarious now. Like, I sit there and think about it, I'm like, this guy, you are so dumb. Like, what was wrong with you back then? Like,
So I remember there was one time we had, because apart from like you, I was generally having like football matches for the kids, and I was always doing interesting games because I just like to. I keep telling people, my brother is Sunday and I'm Friday night. Like, I just I just like to have fun. I want people around me to have fun. So I remember there was one time we had like a football match, and you got so upset you refused to play. Like, there was some issue, and now the other guys were like, "Oh, ObEd," it just like spoiled the whole demeanor of the game. But I was like, no, there was like, I literally would have to like talk to the class. Like, they would come to me and ObEd and ObEd and ObEd. I'm like, guys, like, let's be patient with him. I'll talk to them. Let's help them. And it's like, getting him to understand that we are doing this together. Like we are not giving up on this guy, and we are ensuring that he gets to the place that he's meant to. And I believe, would you say that the guys in the class actually helped you as well?
Yeah, they definitely did. Just as if you remember, he's more he's more of a straight shooter than his brother.
Mm.
So I remember when I pulled uh when I when I got into that element, he would be more of a straight shooter, and I think the others would come to you and complain. But he would tell me straight from his mind that you know what, I'm messing things up for himself, myself, the other guys. Like, look at what you've done. Like, are you really happy with what you've done and whatnot? Then me being me, try to defend myself. I am my father's son. Well, I don't care what you think. That sort of thing. And I was like, you know what? This guy has a point, but in the heat of the moment, and it's interesting because back then I, I didn't I didn't listen. There's listening and there's listening. I heard him just reply him.
Yes, there's hearing and there's listening. You hear
Yeah.
them speaking, but you're not listening.
Yeah, like, and it wasn't just with him, it was with many people. Like, I just wanted to reply you. I just wanted to say what was on my mind.
You're defensive.
Just defensive.
Mm.
I think that also doesn't help at all. Like, you really need to sit down, take a step back. Like, if someone is attacking you, like, let's take a step back and really hear them out. Chances are they really have something worth wow. That's why they're saying it, rather than you going all defensive. And it happened on numerous occasions, like so many that I can't even recollect some where people tell me I'm wrong and I just go all defensive and explosive and whatnot. And I think because I was a bit loud too, so when I get too loud with people, they just go like, okay, I can't deal with this guy anymore. I can't deal with this guy anymore, and they just leave. And yeah, it kind of messed up a few things.
There's something I always say, which is you're not an island, and so you're living in a world of other people who also have feelings and emotions, and you have to take that into consideration. That's the first thing. And the second thing is opinions will always be opinions. And when people speak your mind, there's three things. One, the first thing is it could be it might be the fact that it's a true statement and you need to change. That's the first one. The second thing is it's a misconception and so you correct them. The third thing is that's just their opinion and they're not willing to change. So with those people, you just leave them. So when people say things, they're not necessarily being judgmental, but that is how they honestly feel. And it is in your place to either change, correct them, or just leave them.
Yeah.
And when you have that mentality, anything that people like, anytime somebody says anything to you, you never take it personally. It causes you to just take a step back, evaluate, and be like, okay, that's actually true. I need to change, or but that's a wrong mentality. I need to correct more. It's like I've tried correcting it, it's not changing, so I'll just leave the person to do that. When was it? Was it what time exactly did you realize that? Oh my gosh, I've really changed. Is it like a time where like you felt suddenly like, oh, well, that's changed? Was it ever a time like that?
Yeah, I wouldn't really be able to recollect the particular time, but I just felt like things things were getting different, and it it's so funny that even people were noticing it. Like, and I feel like the change was really noticeable to others outside, not to me until a certain point, but especially because I enjoy football, right?
Mm.
So when we play and we lose and someone makes a mistake on the field and that costs us a goal or something. And I remember this moment in particular in school where there was a younger kid. He was a junior, and personally, I didn't want him to start the match because he was younger and he wasn't physically strong. And we're playing against a physically strong school, and there was a corner kick. One guy nudged him, and he scored an own goal. And the guys were ready to berate him. Then
Roast him. I would roast him.
they were about to like attack him, and I stood in front of him. Like, listen, he's a kid. We all make mistakes. I understand that you guys are angry. I'll be angry as well. But what purpose is that gonna serve right now? We're a goal down. We need to score and equalize, get another goal, and probably
Gotta
qualify.
head back in the game, yeah.
And I think they looked at me funny. Like,
Is
I
that
remember
you?
that day, like funny. They're like, "What is wrong with this guy?" Like, this is not the guy we know. That day, I'll never forget. So I remember that was a huge turning point. And after the game, the kid came to apologize to the team. He pulled me aside. Was like, "Oh, thank you very much," whatnot. And the coaches, our coach, also pulled me aside. You know, thank me for what I did on the field. And I remember my coach always used to tell me that I'm a great leader if I can only work on my attitude. He always used to remind me of that. Like, oh, but people actually listen to you. They follow
Yeah.
you. Your
Yeah.
temper just draws them away sometimes.
Destroys everything.
Yeah. So that's one day that I remember, like, things actually started turning. People, like, the guys they were just confused. Like, I wish I could actually take a video of that moment and actually like, they were very, and up to date when I speak to some of them and we bring up these moments, they were like, yeah, Robert, like, yeah, we knew that you are crazy, or like, you don't even need to roast the kid in terms of, oh no, he's a kid and whatnot. So I think that was a huge turning point, and also realizing that things that people used to say, I used to just keep quiet. Like, I would just keep quiet and people would just speak. And I realized that what people say actually hurt you so much when I was in that transitory phase. That was what drew my attention to
Mm.
myself as well. Because
Words cut deep. Yeah.
people would
Yeah.
tell me things and it will hurt me so much that I'll just be quiet and whatnot. So it dawned on me that, is this the kind of feeling people get when I also lose my cool? That kind
Yeah.
of thing. So I was like, you know what? This has to change. And those were some of the few moments I realized that things started to change. I started noticing things from other people's perspective, and others, started noticing the change for me as well. So I think the moments
You,
that,
you basically took your mind out of the box you were in, and then
yeah,
you began to look beyond the box and realize that there's a whole world out there, and I cannot continue living in that box. And it's true. When the moment I met you, I'm like, this guy has the qualities of a leader, but this one thing, because leaders draw people to them,
yeah,
but it's interesting. But this anger thing will like push people away. So you have the qualities to lead people, but this one thing is pushing everyone away. It's basically overshadowing who you are actually meant to do. I'm like, no, this has to stop. Was there ever a time that people in your house like told you that, no, Obed, like, you've changed? Was there
oh,
ever a time?
like a lot of times, like, things will happen at home. My younger siblings will do some messed up stuff. Janice wasn't really a problem. Princess is a problem.
No, she's I think she's just very creative, and she'll find herself soon.
Princess was. One time she broke her because we had a PS4. She broke the controller because I don't know what she was doing, and she just tossed it, and one of the triggers wasn't really working properly. And I used to play FIFA a lot, and that was a sprint
Mm.
button, I remember. So I came home. I remember I wasn't home. I came home and I was told, and I just went like, "Oh my god!" I was like, I don't care. Then I walked away, and I think, and it's funny because the looks people, because I remember, like, I'm like, what is that? Is that Obed? Like, remember Princess came to apologize and whatnot, which I didn't really care. But me knowing me a few years ago, oh, I would have told Princess a few things. I would have told her a piece of my mind, and she was so young, like she probably didn't even know what she was doing. But I probably would have exploded at her. But going through that journey, going through what I've been through at home, like people saw, like my mom saw the difference, Maud saw the difference, Adelaide, just everybody saw the difference. Like, something would happen. I'll be in the wrong sometimes. Like I'll be in the wrong, I've done something wrong, and they would attack me, and I'll just be quiet, say I'm sorry. And actually, I remember telling you that I don't apologize until I mean it.
Mhm.
And I would actually go to them and apologize, sit down with them in their rooms and actually talk to them and tell them how bad I feel about doing this and whatnot. And they just warmed up to me. They were like, you know what?
Mm. Things
This
began to change. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
this he's not the guy we knew a few years ago. Even though we all lived in the same house. And I told you, like my dad also went through the same phase. Like
Mm. Mm.
also, I feel like my dad, he just woke up and everything just
Mm.
so yeah, I think from at home things began to change very quickly. Me noticing that I'm wrong, me accepting the blame and the fault for it, me not exploding at my siblings for things they've done. And these are very trivial things. Like today, to me, they're very trivial, but back then they would have seemed like the whole world was ending or something. But
So it's interesting because you're saying that even when you began to change, it took a while for people to actually like believe that this is the changed person. They didn't just automatically like warm up to you, but it took them a while to eventually warm up to you. So what you're saying?
yeah,
Mm.
that is
Mm.
exactly it.
Mm.
With friends, it took a
Mm.
while. With friends,
Mm.
it take a while because there's so many scars from the past, right?
Yeah.
They're
Yeah.
not gonna one day just wake up and warm up to me. Like obviously, when they're interacting with me and I leave, I believe they would remember the things I've said to them in the past and whatnot. Because as you said, words cut deep, so
Mm.
they would actually think of it and maybe even pull back a bit. Like maybe this is too good to be
To be
true.
true.
He's
Mm.
kind of changing. My family, on the other hand, they didn't even have a choice. I mean, we're family, so
Mm.
they were supportive all throughout the journey. I just looking back now, I just feel like there were moments where they were exhausted sometimes because of my actions and my words, but they also didn't give up on me.
Mm.
They continued to support me. Like I remember my mom, this is funny. My mom would pray for me like every night. Had the pastor come and pray for me about my anger. And one time I told her that listen, it's not the pastor's prayer that's going to work. Oh.
Mm.
If if somebody is wrong, you have to tell them. You know,
Mm. Mm.
them,
Mm. Mm.
it was. I realized how it was hurting her and the effort she was trying to put in because oh, the prayers did a lot. Like my mom would sit down and pray for me. Like you know how there are prayer topics when you're praying. My anger alone takes like more than 10 minutes.
It's interesting because I think for me, I did pray for you, but my prayer was not to deal with your anger problem. My prayer was, how can I help him? So I would pray and ask God, like, oh, what should I, like, what can I do to help him? Do you get it? It wasn't, oh, please deal with Obed's problem. I knew, like, because God works through people on earth. So use me as someone to help him. So what can I do to help him? And then different things will come to me. We'll try different things. Some will work, some will not work. And this is very, if there's anything you could change from the past, what would that be?
Like in terms of what?
In terms of looking back on your life and where you are at now, is there anything you would have done differently?
Oh yeah, I definitely. It's this is a wish, and I don't believe in tooth fairies and whatnot. But I actually wish that I didn't have this. anger thing. Like, if I'm being completely honest with myself, but I think it's also taking me through a journey of actually discovering myself,
Mm.
discovering how to interact with people. So sometimes I'll be like, oh, I wish I didn't have it. But sometimes I'm like, you know what? That's not a good thing. Maybe I needed to have it to explore certain things or to understand certain things. Like, I read a book about, I think the title is How to Influence Friends by Dale Carnegie.
Mm.
And, the point he has in that book, like, I was just reading, I was just laughing because I was like, these are the exact opposite things I used to do. Probably that's why I
Mm.
didn't have a lot of friends.
Mm.
you
Mm.
know, he'd be like, in the book, I remember a point where he was like, you cannot win an argument. You can only lose relationships through an argument. Huh, that makes sense. I used to argue a lot. I lost a
Mm.
lot of relationships. So it's interesting. Like, it's really interesting sitting down today and looking back. Like, Jesse Jesse says it's been a journey. I remember a few weeks ago we met with a couple of friends, and one of the guys was like, Obed is so chill. And Jesse burst out laughing. Jesse just burst out laughing. And they didn't understand why Jesse was laughing. And he was like, yeah, you guys don't know, but yeah, if you know this guy, he wasn't like this a few years ago. So and even people find that hard to believe when I share my story with them, like how I was explosive and whatnot. Like, even my close knit friends over here, they find it extremely hard to believe. And I feel like it's possible. It really is. No matter who you are, how explosive you are, it's possible, but you need the right people around you.
Need somebody to just believe in you and not give up on you and stand by you regardless of what it is. And we're working through this. I mean, because even like the change, right, was not just in terms of your attitude, but even the way you spoke changed. Like you have now, like even the way you're speaking now, that's not how you were speaking in those times. Like you're so chill now, like anybody would naturally gravitate towards you because you're so like you have like a peaceful demeanor. I know that makes any sense. And the change was not necessarily in your attitude, but even in terms of your demeanor. Do you get it? And even the way you speak, like you spoke, then changed. Like you became, it's like now you articulate your words properly. You take your time to speak, and now I said even before you say anything, you will think about it before you
Yeah,
actually say it. And I mean, with what you said, I believe that what it was then was necessary for now because now you've seen the effects of that. And so it's enabled you to become better at dealing with people because you've seen the effects of like harsh words and being aggressive and all of that. So I wouldn't say that this was necessarily a bad thing. It's actually added to who you've actually become now. Is there anything you think I could have done better in terms of dealing with you when it came to your anger issues?
maybe if you didn't suck me out of your class, that might have been. But no, all in all, like dealing with you, like as I said, you at that moment you were the only one that really heard me. Like, you really listened to me. Like, and I didn't feel like you were just it was just going through one ear and going out of the other, but it's like you really wanted to know. You were curious, like, and as you said, you came in looking at finding ways to help, and it's interesting how intentions affect everything. Like, I think it's Rene Descartes that said this, that I think, therefore I am, or like as a man thinketh. That's a book. Like,
So is he.
so is he.
Yeah.
Like, the way you think affects everything about you. Like, I believe that your line of thinking was, how can I help him? And that's,
Intentions were different.
yeah, the intentions were
Mm.
different. Like, if it was just, oh, let me just listen to what this guy has to say and whatnot. I would have felt it. I would have probably seen it through your actions and whatnot. And
I don't really care. I'm just like tolerating you, just being
yeah,
tolerant of you.
yeah,
I think it just boils down to the fact that I've come to understand that there's a root cause to everything, and the person's not the problem. The root of the problem is the problem. So if we're able to deal with the roots, then the person does not automatically transforms. That's just me. I mean, it's also because I've been through it, so I was coming from an experience, and
yeah.
maybe that's where the difference is. How did you feel when the class chose you as valedictorian?
Uh,
Every time I think about it, I still smile because from being the least liked person in the entire class to being picked there, because I actually thought I was going to be Karen, you know.
funny enough, I thought the thing,
But the funny thing is, she voted for you.
I didn't even bother, like when you brought it up that, you know what, the class will have to vote for valedictorian. I'm like, oh well, there goes my chances now. You know, and even in other places as well. Like, so when you told me that, you know what, the class chose you, I was very excited, but I felt like that was my chance to also do better as a person, because that vote of them choosing me as a valedictorian was kind of a vote of confidence in me to actually become a better person. So I think that also really drew my mind to that aspect, that these guys are actually confident that, oh, but you can change. Like, you can be a better person than you are now. Like, even in school, I used to play a lot of sports. I was sport prefect at a point, and for the soccer team, I was a captain, basketball team, and volleyball team. And for soccer, I understand why they would choose me as captain, but volleyball and basketball, I wasn't the best. To be honest, I really wasn't the best. But and those were all up to votes as well. The teammates had to vote, and they chose me for a weird reason. Because basketball, I'm like, I'm not that good. Like, I mean, I can do a few things. Volleyball, I was one of the tallest, but I couldn't even spike. I could
Mm.
set very well, but I couldn't even spike. And they chose me. And one of my friends who was competing for that role with me said, "Why do you buy Indomie for these guys?" He thought he had it in the bag because he was the best volleyball player we had.
Mm, mm.
And I remember my coach telling me that it's not really about the volleyball skills. That's why he sat there and told me, "Obed, you're a great leader, but if you
People skills. Mm, mm.
set." So, yeah, them choosing me as valedictorian, sheesh, like,
Because I think for the graduation, your dad came, right? Your dad, your
yeah,
mom was there. How did you feel? Like, cause do you remember how your mom was beaming the whole time? She was just so proud.
yeah, my
Even Maud, Nana, like they were all very proud of you. I was so proud. Like I was like, oh my gosh, wow.
there's a saying that all that I am and all that I hope to be, I owe it to my mom. Not that I'm not saying my dad hasn't done anything. My dad has done so much, but I think my mom has seen me through a lot of things, and that moment was one very proud. And when I got home, she told me how excited she was when I got home. Like, they were also excited, like Maud, Nana, Jesse. You
Mm.
know, they used to call me a valedictorian for a while. At home, a valedictorian, and it was it was interesting times, to be honest. Being chosen by the class, being able to
Being
represent.
chosen to because you were chosen, like they chose you to represent the class. That
Yeah,
was such a big deal. I remember when I told my mom that Obed was picked, she was so proud. I think everybody that it was, yeah, we felt it was between you and Karen, honestly. But the fact that she even voted for you was a big deal.
it's surprising. It really is. I'm not gonna lie. It surprised me because personally I didn't even bother to, think about it. You know how when you're in an election, or you're like, oh my God, how's it gonna go? I was like, "Ah, you know what,
And
I've
I
done
mean,
too many, I'm done."
and the funny thing is when and I think you sent your speech to me before you read it, right?
Yeah.
I read a thing over. and over again, and I'm like, wow, wow. Like I was speechless, and I'm like, yeah, the class chose the right person to talk. The class chose right, and then I came for your graduation as well. I think that was also like a very very proud moment as well. Your high school grad as well,
Yeah.
and we spoke about like university and I think we talked about your course preference and I think I have tried as much as possible to be very concerned, like not just about church stuff, but about like your personal life and then your educational life. And even now, I'll check up on you once in a while because that's what it is. It's not just a one-time thing. It's like a journey that I would say we're probably doing together. Do you have any final remarks for anyone listening, any young person that's dealing with anger problems, like not even just young people, because some more people are just mad and upset. It's not a young person thing; it's just a people thing. Like, it's if do you have any final remarks for anyone that would listen to this interview that is struggling with like their temper and their anger, and feel like they can't be heard, no one is listening, nobody cares? What would you tell them?
Uh, what I have to say goes to people who find themselves in such a situation and their friends and
And your
family.
friends. Okay, yeah. So you're speaking to both sides. You see, yes, smart chap, smart. Because that's my next question. So, yeah, just yes. Go feel free.
If you're going through that, I just wanted to know with two words, it's actually possible. It's possible, like because if you sit down and look at your other friends who are not going through the same issue as you, how they relate to people, how even people speak about them, like, oh, Nia is so nice, he's so caring, and you wonder why you don't get that. It's that means that there's something that needs to be fixed. Now, it's not an overnight thing. Your desire to get that issue fixed or that temper more or less eradicated from your life, it's not an overnight thing. I can assure you that it doesn't happen overnight. But your desire to really work on yourself can get you so far. You actually need, I feel like you actually need someone to guide you. And that's where the friends and family part comes in. Like if you have a friend or cousin or sibling with this kind of issue, don't actually give up on the person because you've actually done them a great disservice. And I'm actually living testimony of it that you actually not giving up on me has shaped me to be who I am today, how to deal with people, how to understand from other people's perspective. So if you believe that you have anger issues, and there are actually signs and symptoms like people with anger issues will actually never admit that they have anger issues. One, you have a huge ego, you think you're never wrong, you're always in the right, you always want to prove yourself. Like sometimes like, you have to sit down and check yourself. And if you feel like these things are hindering your relationships, they are hindering your friendships and whatnot, take a step back and evaluate yourself and try and see the best way to move forward. But it's not going to be easy. You actually need someone. Like it's if you can do it on your own, you deserve an award, maybe a Nobel Peace Prize or something.
Wow.
No, I'm serious because like thinking about you, it's very very difficult, and even through the journey, sometimes you can make headway. You're getting somewhere, and you spiral back into your old ways. Like it's sort of like a pull on you. And as humans, we also and the older you get, and thank God I met you when I was younger, because they say the chains of habit are too light to be felt until they are too heavy to be broken.
Mm.
And
Actually, yes, spitting bars, man, spitting
no,
bars.
it's very true because when when I sit there and think about it, sometimes I get emotional about it, like how far I've come,
Mm.
how I see things now, how I do things differently, and older people, it's even much harder for them because they've done this for years.
Mm. Mm.
Yes, but that's not saying that you can't do it.
Mm.
That's not saying that you can do it, because you can actually do it, and you need the right person. People who are trying to help, don't go in there just, oh, let me hear what he has to say and go. Like, people are smart enough to know. You can feel it when somebody is just trying to do that, and you can tell when the person is actually genuinely concerned about you.
Mm.
Be genuinely concerned about the person, and it's not going to be easy. Like, I know there are a few times that you probably wanted to slap me in the head or punch me in the stomach
Push
or
you on the
something,
floor and just walk away.
you know, because of the things I said, but you didn't give up on me. So,
Because I believe that was never personal.
yeah.
No, it's never like that's. I think that's one of the things that's kept me till now is nothing is ever personal, and I have nothing to prove to anyone.
True,
Nothing.
true.
Nothing to prove to anyone. Obed, my final remarks would be I'm so proud of you. And the fact that you're doing the major in the mind, I was like, those of you, those of you like school, I'm proud of you, and I'm happy with the path that you are on. And I'm just waiting for graduation pictures. So I can probably like splash on social media and be like, yes, we did it, you know. And then I'm still waiting for the bank alert for the 10%, you know. Like
Oh,
I still have faith. I still have faith for that one.
oh no, that don't worry, it will happen. Don't
Yeah, but
worry.
I'm just excited with where I see you going, and I can't wait for the testimonies. And my prayer is that like your life will be a living testimony, and your life would just impact me. Like everywhere you go, you make the most impact that you can, and influence as many people as you can. And it's been good talking to you on this episode of the Life Beings in Therapy podcast. Final question: what did you think of the name of the podcast?
The beans there, no, I can't even think far. No, but I think it's captivating. Like,
Live
it's
beings in therapy.
yeah,
We
it's
started with like live jollof and therapy. We're like, and we did like live kebab and therapy. We're like,
love, you get into trouble. Oh.
And then my sister said like beans in therapy, like spilling all the beans. I'm like, that's a good one. So live beans in therapy, where we spill all the beans, where we're honest with people, and hopefully other people can learn from our stories and do better. But thanks for joining on. I know it took a lot to come onto the podcast, but I really really appreciate it. I really
No,
appreciate it. We'll talk again soon, Obed.
100%.
And enjoy the rest of your day.
You as well. Thank
Okay.
you.
You're welcome. Bye.
Thank you for watching. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and share for regular content and updates.